Okay, this video is going to be part 2 on how to repair this driver's side mirror. Same goes with passenger side mirror for 2011 Infiniti Qx56. It's gonna be the same for the QX80s and some newer Armadas, Nissan Armadas, and some Nissan Patrols, but they don't sell them here. That's for Europe and other places. And this is the mirror from the other side. Got a 19-pin connector. Make sure you have the right mirror and the right wiring. Okay, so let's get started. You're gonna need a few screwdrivers. You need a few flat screwdrivers, one skinny, others maybe a little bit different, short one, long one, skinny one, a Phillips screwdriver. We're gonna need one of these, sharp end tools. Need a razor blade. Gonna need a needle nose plier. Gonna need some masking tape and a screwdriver, power screwdriver. So first thing we're gonna do, put that aside, is we're gonna put some masking tape on this side of the mirror, this corner, to protect the paint, because there's going to be a lot of these parts are going to be rubbing on each other, so you want to protect the paint so it won't get scratched. That should be enough. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is set the mirror just like that. Push this top end, push it in all the way. Lift this side. Gonna get your small, long, skinny screwdriver. There's a tab in there. Just go inside that tab. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let's zoom in and see if you can see that. Okay, there it is. So put it in that tab and just yank it, just kind of push on it. Okay, there it is. Here's the tab I'm talking about. This area, another one on this side here. So I didn't need to go on the other side, it just popped off. So once that pops off, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these hook type of things. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, these things, 1, 2, there's 2 more, one on the here, another one here, here. Once those pop off, you're gonna put your fingers in there, push this moving part of it, push it back down, push it back all the way down. Now you're gonna wanna see, now you can lift up the mirror like that. So once this part is pushed down, you're gonna want to pull the mirror towards you. Hold it from here and pull it towards you, just like that. It should just pop off like that. Just be careful, don't pull it too hard, because there's 2 wires here and I need to remove these wires. Got a black wire on the right side, green wire on the left side. Just pull them out, set this mirror aside. So that's what it looks like. Next thing you're going to want to do is we're going to remove this outer cover. And the way we do that is we're going to push on these tabs. It has like 6 tabs or so. About 4 of them are easily accessed from here. So there's one here. Just like that. Okay. One here, one here, one here. There's another one here. Okay. So let's push them, kind of push them out, unhook them. You may need a second hand for this. You kind of have to do all of them, at least 2 of them at the same time to get it going. So I'm gonna pause this for now. Okay, I got this one first. That's where I started. I pushed it in and down at the same time, and these 2 here, this came off, this popped off, and then this one popped off. So now it's loose. There it is, just popped off. So it has these we broke one. Looks like we broke one of these, but you can expect this to happen because these things are old and brittle, and there's almost no way to get them off without breaking one of them. But you can buy this separate, this cover. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Sixth one that broke. Should still be okay. These 5 of these should hold it in place just fine when we put it back. Before we go any further, I forgot to mention this is a tedious job that's going to take a long time and a lot of patience and a lot of skill, because you're going to be working with a lot of tiny parts, delicate parts that are prone to breaking, just like that pin that broke, that hook on the cover. So if you don't have the time, the patience, or the skill, I don't recommend you doing this. But if you do and follow these steps carefully and do it slowly, taking your time, you should be able to get it repaired. So the problem I forgot to mention is the mirror folding piece, that the folding motor, which is right here. Something's broken inside. One of the gears is broken inside. We're gonna take it apart and see which one it is, and we're gonna try to replace the whole thing. If not, I'm gonna replace the gears individually that are broken. Okay, so this is what it's doing. It's wobbling, it's wiggling, and it's basically not working. When you press that button to fold the mirror, it's not folding. So let's continue. So once you get that cover off, you're gonna want to turn it over. Gonna want to remove this screw right here. This is gonna release the bottom piece which holds the camera in place. So most of these screws are going to be the same. Just make sure you mark the screws, don't mix them up. So that's one screw. We're gonna just so once that you get that screw off and you turn it over, you're gonna see two screws, two black screws right here. One's here, one's here. I'm gonna remove these two here. Okay, these are different screws, black, a little shorter. So like I said, again, don't mix them, keep them separate or mark them somehow. Take your time, don't rush. You don't want to mess this up, because if you mess it up and if you lose any of these parts or break any of these parts, a lot of these parts are not sold separately, and so you might have to you will end up buying the whole mirror if you break something or lose something, and the whole mirror is about $1,400, and I don't think you want to do that. So once we get those screws out, all you gotta do is pull it apart, just pop it off, pull it out carefully, wiggle it, and then you're gonna have to kind of set it aside like this, turn it over to this side, because we're gonna remove this screw here. We're gonna remove 1, 2, 3 screws to remove that light. Okay, got the screws out. These are the same silver screws. Now we can remove this light. Watch, there's a wire for the light. You're gonna gently pry it out, pry this plug with your screwdriver, and gently pull on the wires, and that'll release it. Put the light aside. So now we have access to remove the camera. This camera bracket assembly. So you're gonna remove 2 screws. Whatever you do, don't touch these 2 small screws or these screws. We're gonna remove only this one and this one, the big screws basically. Okay, once you get those screws out, these are shorter silver screws. You're gonna want to put them aside separate, and you can put this bracket aside. Now here's what we have so far. You're gonna turn it over like so. We have 1 screw holding this whole this mirror adjustment piece in place. So we're gonna remove that screw. That's right. Next thing we're gonna do, get your razor blade. We're gonna remove this cover. There's a light inside, light bulb inside. There's 2 pins here, one here, right here, another one here. Pins or hooks. Okay, we're gonna do this side first. Just put your screwdriver or your razor blade and pry it open, and do this one. Should just pop off. Pull it towards this way, and the other side should just pop off. Now we're gonna have to remove this light bulb that's secured in place. We're gonna do this side first. This side first, the round round side first. So put your screwdriver in there and pry it just like that, carefully. This side just should pop off. Broke that one. Put that aside. So this is what we have now. Now we can remove these big screws that hold the whole thing in place. Okay, so once you get those big screws out, they're the little thicker, shorter screws. So put that aside. Next thing you're gonna want to do is you go here. There's a protective sponge type of thing here, or electrical tape. Normally I already removed that, so we can push this wire bundle in. Just push it in, or pull this whole thing, separate it, to separate these two pieces a little bit to give us some room to work. So once you do that, you're gonna see a screw in here. I'm gonna remove that screw. Okay, put that screw aside, and then that'll release this whole assembly. So I believe there are no more screws. And then next thing we're gonna do is there's a tab and hook that holds this in place. That's the only thing left. So you're gonna push on this tab, push it back, and pull this assembly up. Okay, it should pop off just like that. So once that happens, you're gonna take this wire harness, pop it out of its place. This is for the camera. That's where it goes in. Comes out this end. So we're gonna pop this out. This out of its place. We're gonna have to disconnect this, and this is where you need your razor blade. You're gonna put it here. That thing broke off. Like I said, these things are brittle. Okay, there it is. And they break off easily. So just pull this camera out of the out of its place. Put that aside. So now you're left with this wobbly thing. So we're gonna remove another screw that's now in here, inside here, that secures this motor mechanism to this piece here. So we're gonna have to turn it over, kind of wiggle it around. Okay, there it is. That's the screw I'm talking about. So once you get this out of its place, out of this housing, you can twist it like so, and turn this over. You can access that screw and loosen that screw right there. Okay, I'm gonna pause this for a moment. Okay, got that screw out. Okay, same screw. Most of them are going to be this size, silver Phillips head screw. Okay, so put that aside. Now there are two screws here and 1, 2, and another 2, another 2. If you turn it over, another 2 are here. 1, 2. So we're gonna have to remove all 4 of these screws. Okay, let's get these on the bottom first. Or it doesn't matter which one you do first. Okay, same screw. And then these. These screws out. So that's it as far as the screws goes. And this folding motor I should separate from this piece, but we're gonna have to remove these wires first. So push that on this tab, pull on this, that'll release that. This one you're gonna have to use your small screwdriver, put it in here and here, kind of wiggle it, pry this plastic a little bit, widen that area so this will just pull out. Careful not to damage that rubber seal. So put that aside. So now we can turn this over. So this is what it looks like now. Pull this housing out. I'm going to remove all these wires. Just make sure you mark these. We're going to remove these wires here. Pop it off from here. If it doesn't pop off from the front, sometimes if you do it from here, it'll come apart. So you got to go back here and do it from here so it doesn't come apart completely, because it's a 2-piece plug. See, it came apart. I had to push it back in. Same thing with this. So the black one goes on the right side. The left one will go on the white one will be on the left side, holding from this angle. So pop it off. See, it's coming apart. Pop it off from both sides. Get it out of there. There's a hook. Get it out of there. See this? These things will come apart. It's a 2-piece assembly, both of these, if you're not careful. So all you have to do is push it back in. Just snap it back in place if they come apart. So let's get rid of these wires. Get it out of there. Out of that one. Put that aside. Pull this wire out. Now we're only left with only one wire. This is actually the plug for this wire. We're gonna have to remove this plug also, this housing. So for this one, you're gonna need your sharp end tool. I'm gonna put it here, kind of push it in and push this down at the same time. Do on both sides and push it down. It should just slide right out and out of this hole, the second hole. This one, not this one. So later on you're gonna have to put it in there. So we can put this whole assembly aside for now. So now we're left with this. Finally getting closer to this motor assembly. We're gonna have to take this apart and see if we can replace the gears. We'll just replace the gears. It's much easier. If not, depending on which gear it is that's broken, if not, you may have to replace this whole assembly. But for that, you're gonna have to cut these wires one by one, all of them, either on this side or on this side. You're gonna have to cut them and then splice them later on, one by one, if you end up having to replace this whole thing, this whole assembly. But let's see. So let's see what it's doing. So if we hold it with needle nose pliers and move it, see that play? That play shouldn't be there. That's what's messed up. Okay, so let's continue. I'm gonna have to take this apart, and I have to lift these tabs, 4 of them total, 2 on each side. So lift these tabs. This thing has glue inside, some kind of a sticky sealant to keep moisture out. You're gonna have to play with this because it's kind of hard to get both of these up in these hooks and pull it apart. It's kind of hard. You're gonna have to fight with it a little bit. Got the other side loose. Now let's do this side. Lift it up, and pry it apart at the same time with your other hand. See, it's coming apart slowly now. Okay, we're gonna have to run and wash my hands because I don't want to contaminate this sealant, as we need this sealant to, so clean it up as much as you can so it doesn't get on all the rest of the parts. So clean that. Now I'm gonna slide this cover. Now this cover is off. I'm gonna put these wires inside this and slide it up all the way as far as we can. Get it out of the way so we can. Okay, there it is. Okay, so this is what we have inside. Now you're gonna get clean this sealant as much as you can from here so you can lift this board easily. I'm gonna grab it from here gently and lift it up. Oh, actually, we're gonna grab the motor, the tiny motor. Notice that red line. When you put it back in, that red line, the motor should go all the way in with that red line being flush with that white plastic there. So gonna have to kind of lift both of these up at the same time. But if you lift on the motor with your needle nose, this board should pop off at the same time. Should come loose. But one more thing before I go on. See these 2 pins? Don't touch these. Don't bend them, because if you do later on, you're gonna have a problem with this thing fitting in later on, because this is what goes in there. So let's continue with that. Get that motor off. Back insert, put it aside, lift this board up, lift it up, push it up all the way, get it out of the way, just like that. Put it in, out of the way. So now, as you can see, we have 2 screws inside. 1, 2. We're gonna remove these screws. Get these screws out. These are a little skinnier, smaller screws. Okay, I'm just gonna lift on this white plastic, and we'll get that screw out later. Okay, there it is. So get that plastic out of the way. There's going to be a lot of grease on this, white grease. So that's what it looks like inside. We have a few gears, warm gears. They're called warm gears. I think this one is metal. This is metal, this part. This is plastic, and this is plastic. So let's get them out and see which one's broken. Okay, just lift this out. This goes only one way. One side has a flat notch. That's the motor side. So make sure you get that. That one looked good. I don't think that one was broken. So let's see if it's this one. So you're gonna grab this from here, your needle nose, and just wiggle it out. Oh, see? Yep. So this is the broken gear. Just came off. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we'll put that aside for now. Okay, let's get the rest of it out. So now we know what's broken, but this whole assembly needs to come off, not just the broken part. Put that aside. So let's get the rest of it out. Just pull it out. See, this one is metal, this one, and so this white piece, plastic piece, goes on that metal, and so that's what's broken. So now that we know what's broken, I can breathe a little easier now, because we won't have to replace the whole thing. We won't have to cut wires or anything and splice them. So all I'm going to do is get that broken piece from another motor that I bought from eBay. The cheapest one you're going to find is on eBay from UAE, from the Emirates. It's like $130. Other places are probably $200-300 for this motor assembly. Plus, you still have to cut the wires or get the wires out from their connectors if you have the right tools. Okay, so I'm gonna take that other motor apart, get that gear, and we're gonna put it back in there and assemble it back. So I got the pieces out from that other one that I bought, that new motor. So that's what it looks like, the broken one. We can still use the same motor gear. Okay, so let's put it back in place. Gonna hold it. from here and just slide it back in. Tap it down until it engages, or turn the gear. Yep, there it is. Okay, so once that's inside, I'm gonna put this motor gear, arm gear in place with the right side up, with that flat side. Just set it in place like that. As far as down it'll go. See, it's wiggling now, but once you put this white plastic, it'll secure it in place. So let's put that white plastic piece in place, push it down. There it is. And put these small screws back in place. So once we got those screws in place, notice the alignment. Take this piece out. Notice the alignment with the motor, where that flat part goes. So this will go like this. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. Yeah, see the flat area. Okay, so that white plastic in there, I mean black plastic in there. So it's going to be aligned with that other side, other pin there, and it's going to slide right in. But before we slide it all the way in, we need to put this board back in place at the same time. Let's get this thing out of here. Down, yeah, push it down, just like that. So okay, so these things need to go inside this motor to make the connection for the motor to run. So we're gonna have to push it in kind of, and push the motor down, push this board down, both of them at the same time. Push on these, make sure it goes down all the way. Down all the way. These connectors are in place. The motor's down all the way. The red line is right on that plastic. So we're good here. Now we can put this, slide this cover back down. Okay, so snap this back in place, both sides.